Right, guys, let's get into this. So, if I had to start again from scratch, I had no audience, no offers, no funnels, no nothing, and I wanted to get to 80 to 100 grand a month, I'm just going to run you through in this video pretty much exactly how I would do it. Okay, over the past 7 years, I've built 3 7-figure coaching businesses. In my current business, I do kind of 80 to 100 grand a month. You know, it kind of varies a little bit. And I'm just going to run you through exactly how I would do that if I were to do it again, because you don't have to build a massive audience. I don't have a massive audience. Okay. You know, you don't have to have a ton of money to start. You don't have to run around on social media and, you know, constantly post 1,000 times a day. You don't have to do any of that. All you need is a book. And in this video, I'm just going to run you through exactly how I would do it. So let me just quickly dive into my Stripe account just to show you some proof. Right, so as you can see here, this is the back end of my Stripe account. You can see here for the 29th of July, it's $4,000. I can't hover over it because something keeps popping up. $4,000, $2,800, $4,600, $5,700, $6,800, $1,034, 2.5. You can see here, you know, that's a 10 grand day down there, guys, right? And I'm pretty much just going to run you through, you know, like I say, if I was to start again, exactly how I would do it to get back to this point. So if I wanted to achieve those types of numbers again, here's exactly what I would do. Now, whether you want to get to like 80 to 100 or 150 grand a month, okay, or if you want to make like 20 grand a month, I would execute the same strategy, because here's where a lot of people go wrong. They use basically a shit unscalable strategy to get to 10, 15, 20 grand a month. And then once they get there, they realize that what got them to that point is not going to get them to 100 grand a month. Yeah. So if you're just posting everywhere on social media, you know, you just kind of got a messy business. You're signing a couple of clients a month, but you don't have any real strategy. You know, that kind of grind can get you to 10K a month, but it's not going to get you to 100 grand a month. It's just not. It doesn't matter how fucking hard you work. It's not going to get you there. So what I would do is I would actually think with the end in mind, right? Start with the end in mind. I would implement a strategy that can get me to and beyond 100 grand a month, because that's going to work at the lower levels as well, right? And naturally on your way to 100 grand a month, you have to hit 10, 20, 30 grand a month, yeah? So just for context, when I started my current business, helping people with books, right? I hit 30 grand in my very first month. So I did exactly what I'm going to share with you in this video. And I hit 30 grand in my first month, and then like 50 the next month, 70 the next month, and just kind of went from there. Because a strategy that's going to allow you to scale it's also going to allow you to start. So I would just start with one strategy rather than getting to 10, 15K a month and then being like, oh fuck, I'm completely stuck. I have to use an entire new kind of business model, right? So here is what I would do. First of all, I would start with a back-end offer. So let me just kind of clarify that, right? You don't want to build anything on the front end until you know what you're going to deliver on the back end. So there's no point making lead magnets and growing your email list and putting content out and all that kind of stuff. You want to start with your back end offer. Now, this doesn't mean you have to go and create some behemoth with 100 videos and spend months and months and months doing this stuff. I could literally take a blank page of this notebook and I could come up with a $5,000 offer in the next 10 minutes. And that's not an exaggeration. You just have to know what you're offering. You don't need loads of crazy deliverables. You can literally sell a set of coaching calls with WhatsApp support for $5,000, right? The offer is about the outcome you're going to help people achieve. And you don't need trainings and resources and all this crazy stuff to do that. It can help and you can build that out, okay? But you don't need all of that stuff to actually get started, okay? I've lost my page now with my very important to-do list on it. You don't need all of that stuff to get started. All you need is to know right, first of all, you need your niche. I'm not going to go into that on this video. I'm going to assume you probably know your niche. But then you have to decide, what's the outcome that I'm going to help people get? What is my unique process and my unique mechanism to help them get there? And then just map out, if I was to jump on a call with someone once a week for 3 months, how would I help them implement this strategy? And then put a price tag on it. That's your offer, done. Obviously, you continue to build on it, right? But you just need to be crystal clear on what that offer is. And the reason why is because all of your marketing, your funnel, your emails, your book, everything is geared around your back end offer. Yeah. So me, for example, I help people write books and get clients with a book funnel specifically. That's what my offer is. So naturally, when I wrote my book, it's all about that particular outcome, and it's going to attract that specific type of person who wants that back end offer. Does that make sense? Because I speak to people a lot of the time where they don't really have their back end offer, you know, and they're creating low ticket products or lead magnets and they're putting content out, but they don't really know what they're selling. And the front end stuff, the content and that kind of thing, it's not going to create demand for the back end offer if you don't have the back end offer. All right, so I hope that makes sense. I can't elaborate too much because I don't want this video to be too long. But just get clear on your back end offer. You can do it in half an hour, right? Just with a pen and paper. If you want help with this, by the way, feel free to just go down below, schedule a call with me. I can run you through exactly how I can help, if I can help. And then if you do want my help, we can chat about that. But start with your back end offer, okay? Now, once you have your back end offer, here's what I would do. I would just write a book. I would start with a book. One book that goes through the whole method, builds a ton of rapport, shows people that you know your stuff, okay? And then I would build out a self-liquidating book funnel around that. So what I mean by this is you want to sell your book, and then you want to have some order bumps. You want to have an upsell or a couple of upsells so that by the time people buy your book, they go through your funnel in 10 minutes or whatever it is, you've already made your money back. Okay, then off the back of the funnel, you would tell them to schedule a call. Now, a certain number of people are going to schedule a call. Some people aren't. Most people aren't, right? For my funnel, I get but maybe 5 to 7% of people schedule a call. So that leaves 93 to 95% of people who don't, right? Which is fine. But as long as you're breaking even at that point where people buy the book, they say yes or no to the upsells, and then you present them with the opportunity to book a call, as long as you've broken even by that point, you can scale, right? You can just recycle your money again and again and again. This is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I've done for 3 businesses now. Okay? So you want to get your book done. And the reason I would start specifically with a book funnel is because your book itself, when you sell copies of your book, it does all of the things that most of these coaches who are using stupid shit, outdated methods that require a ton of work, it does all of the things that those things are supposed to do, right? So if you don't have a book funnel in place, you're probably going to be maybe trying to find leads on social media. You're going to be reaching out to those leads, probably getting ghosted. You're going to be publishing content on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever the case may be. You know, you're going to have to book calls somehow. So maybe you do a webinar or you have a VSL, or maybe you book calls through your outreach, right? There's all of these different moving parts in order to just get someone to the point where they want to speak to you about what you have. And they all require a lot of work if you do it that way. Whereas when you sell a book, as long as your funnel's self-liquidating, so you sell the book, you make your money back straight away. Now you've got the traffic from the ads, which didn't require any input from you. You've got the person to buy the book, which didn't require any work. They've read the book, which means they'll now be nurtured, because by the time they've read the book, they're going to have maybe spent a couple of hours on that, maybe spent an hour or 2 on the bonuses, right? So you've got them to spend 3 or 4 hours consuming your stuff without you even having to be there. Okay. And then in the book and in the funnel and on the back end and that kind of thing with your automations, you're going to get them to schedule a call without any required input from you, right? So all of the things that people are running around like a headless chicken trying to achieve, they're just achieved by running ads to a book funnel that's 100% automated, right? So that's why I would start with a book 100%, because I don't want to build a business where I have to initially work 40, 50 hours a week to gain any traction. I want a business where it's just going to run the way that I want it to run from day one. Okay? That's what you want. So a book funnel will allow you to work 3 hours a day. And then even as you begin to scale it, you can still just work 3 hours a day. Yeah? So once I've got the book funnel in place, then I'm going to start running ads to it. Okay? Now, you want to approach this strategically, but one of the things that I love about a book funnel is that you don't have to plow $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 into it before anything happens. So let's say, for example, if you were to run a VSL funnel, a video sales letter. So you get people to opt in for a free video and they book a call off the back of it. What's going to happen is, obviously, you're paying money to get someone to opt in for something that's free. Right? It doesn't make much sense, does it? So what's happening now is your bank balance is going down and down and down and down and down. And you don't even know if this funnel works. And you might get thousands of dollars in and realize people aren't buying on the calls. We're getting crappy leads because they're opting in for a freebie, right? Freebies are the most terrible thing. Giving something away for free when you want to sell something for $5,000 just makes no sense, right? But with a webinar, with a VSL, with a lead magnet, you're going to get 2, 3, 4 grand in before you know whether it's working or not. Okay. I don't really like the idea of that. So I always recommend for my clients, start your ads at $10 a day. Once you've got your book funnel up and running the way that we do it, okay, we give all of our clients the exact funnel to use, right? My funnel converts at almost 10% to cold traffic, and I just give it to my clients, okay? When you get it set up, you can start running ads at about $10 a day, okay? And what will happen is, as soon as you make a few book sales, so basically by the time you've spent like $100 max, you're gonna know if this works or not. If it doesn't, you can make some tweaks, but usually it does, to be honest. And not only will you know if it works or not, but you'll have got that $100 back. Oftentimes with some profit on the top. You know, I've got some clients that are at like a 2x return on the front end. So like they pay $20 to sell a book, they make $40 every time they sell a book, right? So you're basically being paid to put qualified calls on your calendar, okay? So you start at $10 a day. If you're making your money back and some, let's say for every $10 you spend, you make back 20. Well, you bump it up to $20 a day, 30, 50, 100, okay? By the time you're spending $100 a day, you're gonna see some decent calls coming onto your calendar. Pre-qualified calls with pre-sold prospects who have already read your book and they know all about what you do, okay? So you begin to scale like that, and then you just need to book 2, 3, 4 calls before you close that first premium price client, okay? As soon as you get that first client on board, let's say it's, for example, $5,000, now you've got $5,000 that you can plow back in. You don't have to plow it all back in, but let's say if you're spending $100 a day and you sign a 5K client, now you can ramp it up to $200 a day. Not in one go, you need to do it over the course of several days, right? Just because you don't want to break your campaigns. But now you can bump it up to $200 a day. Then you double the call volume coming in. And you get another client on board. Now you can bump it up to $300-400 a day. Double the call volume coming in again. And this is how you scale fast, guys. Yeah. For my current business, when I launched my ads, I had plenty of budget sat there. You know, like, I am willing to waste a few grand, if I'm being completely honest. I wouldn't recommend other people do it or whatever, but I'm not really too fast. I'll spend a few grand on ads, like if I have a shot at getting a result. But even with my current business, when I first launched my book, I started my campaigns out at $10 a day. Right? I ran a few separate ones, so the budget was a bit higher. It was like $10 each, testing different things out. But I started with $10 a day, you know, and straight out of the gate, I was at like an 8x return on the front end, which was pretty crazy. It won't scale that way, right? But I started making money back like straight away. So I was like, right, 20, 30, 50, 100, 150, 200. And that's why in that very first month, I made 30 grand. Okay, the same month that I launched my ads on $10 a day, I made $30,000, because by the end of that month, I was spending like $500 to $600 a day. Okay, because I was making it all back in real time, so there's no risk involved. Okay, and then like I say, you get a couple of high ticket clients. That's when you start to scale your spend, and as long as your funnel's breaking even, I'm telling you now, by the time you're spending $300, $400, $500 a day, you'll be making back $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a day on the back end. Okay, so anyway, that's exactly how I would do it. I'm not gonna yap for too long, but I hope that makes sense, guys. You know, just go smash it. If you haven't read my book already, click the link below. It's $5, and I just essentially run through everything that I've just spoke about, but way more in depth. And if you want my help with this, I can help you with this entire process. Whether it's the book, I'll give you the exact funnel to use, right? I'll give you the ads. I'll show you exactly how to set everything up. I'll help you with booking all your calls on the back end. I can help with sales. I can help with your high ticket offer if you want. Essentially, when it comes to the whole book process, there's no part of it that stumps me, okay? So if you're trying to grow your business, but it either feels messy, right, and you just feel like you're doing a million and one things to just kind of not gain any momentum and just get subpar results, okay? Or if you are using a strategy that you feel like doesn't make sense or it's not working, feel free to schedule a call, right? I don't do any hard sales or anything like that. I'll just have a chat with you, and if I can help, I'll just tell you exactly how I can help and realistically kind of what we could potentially achieve together. Okay, so if you want my help, click the link down below, schedule a call, and I look forward to chatting to you. And yeah, like, subscribe, blah, 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 all the rest. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.